Welcome to Murfreesboro Rock School, helping kids one power chord at a time. This is the second video in the Basics of Rhythm section of our Music Theory course. It's a part of our video library where we have a lot of great classes on a lot of different subjects. Now, in the last video we left off talking about whole notes, half notes, and quarter notes, and how many beats each of them get, or how long each of them are played. In order to have rhythms and melodies that are a little bit more intricate or quick than just those three types of notes could provide, we need to be able to fit multiple notes inside of a beat. Another way of thinking of that would be that we need to be able to have notes that last shorter than a beat. So, in order to help us visualize that, in order to help us count that out, instead of just counting the measure 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to put anchor points, kind of halfway marks in between each of the beats. That's going to help us count those shorter notes. So let me pull that up real quickly. All right. So now we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Still only have 4 beats in the measure. We're still in 4/4 time signature, so we still only have 4 beats in the measure. We're just once again adding these anchor points to help us count it. Now this obviously leads us to our next type of note, which is going to be an eighth note. And as you could guess, it lasts half of a beat. So we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 8 eighth notes, since each of them last half a beat. And if you recall from our previous lesson, all of the notes inside of a measure have to add up to 4 beats, as long as we're in 4/4 over here. So if each eighth note is half a beat and we have 4 beats, then 8 eighth notes is going to equal 4 beats. Now let's listen to how these are going to sound. When we play this, we're going to have a beat on the 1, a beat on the and, a beat on the 2, a beat on the and. Alright, so I'm going to play it first and then we'll count it out. Great. Okay, let's do it again and we'll count it out. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, now let's jump along. We're going to even subdivide more. We're going to be able to have even more intricate rhythms, even shorter notes. So let me go ahead and get rid of these eighth notes. And we're going to subdivide down to a fourth of a beat. So we're going to have anchor points every fourth of a beat. So 1, a fourth of the way up, another fourth of the way up, which is the and, that's our halfway, another fourth of the way, and then we get to our next beat. So let me go ahead and pull these up as well. The way that we count this out, and this is just kind of a counting practice, is we're going to say 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and. Now this leads us to our next note, which obviously gets a fourth of a beat. This note is called our 16th note. So we'll have 1 on beat 1, E and 2E and 3E and 4E and. Now you'll have to excuse the spacing here once we get into 16th notes. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to get these spaced out just right. That looks pretty good. Okay, so you can see beat 1, the E, the and so on. Now take a second, think about how this is going to sound. And now we're going to play it. Once without counting, then once with counting. Pretty quick. All right, now with the counting. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. All right, so that's our 16th note. Now I should go ahead and mention, there are 32nd notes and 64th notes and 128th notes where you're subdividing more and more and more. But most music, most melodies are able to be represented by 16th notes or larger notes. All right, just as we had left off in the last lesson, you don't have to have all the same kind of note in a measure. You can have any combination of notes as long as they add up to 4 beats. So let's look at a couple of variations. Let's write a measure that's got a couple different types of notes in it. We're going to start off, let's put an eighth note. We'll get another eighth note in there. So since each of those are half a beat, that adds up to a beat. Now let's get a quarter note in here on beat 2. So that lasts the whole measure. And then let's get some 16th notes in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's another beat. And then lastly, we'll put in 2 more eighth notes. Oops, sorry. All right, so eighth note, eighth note. Great. Now it's important to note our quarter notes were the filled in circle with the stem. Our eighth notes are represented, looks kind of like two quarter notes, but it's going to be filled in at the bottom with this line. That's how we know it's an eighth note. That's how we know it gets half of a beat. Our 16th notes are the same concept, except for we just add an extra line. So we've got two eighth notes, a quarter note, then our four 16th notes, and then our last eighth notes. They go ahead and carry that bottom line because it's all a part of the eighth notes. But notice that there's no second line. That's how we know these are eighth notes. So let me go in here real quickly, just like before, get this spacing to make a little bit more sense so that everything's lined up nice and neat. 3, E, and that looks pretty good. And then we've got 4, E, and excellent. Okay. When they put the notes in, they don't necessarily space each beat the same, so we've kind of got to squeeze things around so that it all lines up. We're going to play it once, and then we're going to count it out. Think for a second how this is going to sound, though. I want you to be able to just visualize what these notes are going to sound like. And the way that you would do that is you would count 1 E and steady, and then think you could clap, you could just think each beat. So you've got 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and here we go. Great. So here we go with the counting. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, let's do one more. I want to make one other point real quickly as far as the actual notation goes of how we write these notes out. As we had talked about, the eighth notes have 1 bar at the bottom, the 16ths have 2. So let's put in 2 16th notes, and then we're going to put in an eighth note. Notice how the first 2 16th notes have the 2 bar, and then that last eighth note only has that 1 bar. So we know 1 E and Then let's go in and let's do the exact same, let's go in and do the exact same thing, but this time we're going to go backwards. We're going to put an eighth note in, and then we're going to put 2 16th notes, and then we're going to finish the song out with a half note. Okay, so let me hop in here, space this out again. We've got 1 E and I guess that was already okay. And this starts at 2 E and then we've got 3, and all the rest of these are just a part of that half note. Remember, a half note, the empty circle there, gets 2 full beats. So 3 E and a 4 E and a, all is a part of that half note. Okay, so we've got 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and let's take a listen to that. Cool little rhythm to count it out. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. All right, great. Hopefully that makes sense. Definitely go back and rewatch a part of this if you're still struggling with how to count that out. And in our next lesson, we're going to dive into a little bit of a different way of subdividing things, look at a few more examples, and talk about a few other forms of notation for this. So be sure to go to MurfreesboroRockSchool.com for a ton of other great information, videos, and programs that we offer. And thank you very much for watching.